Thank you again for watching the AM show. And of course, it's the holiday edition. I have to say some good morning to some of my good friends who are in Boko, and especially the pharmacist with the Boko Presbyterian Hospital, Salifu Combat, and your wife, Floran. Floran works with the Ghana Immigration Service with the Misiga border. And talking about immigration, you know that we're on all this advocacy about porous borders, and we have the hashtag going with it, porous borders. Just in case you live in one of those communities, you've had those experiences crossing our borders, or not even crossing, not too good a border post, but just going through some of those landmark areas into Ghana or outside Ghana. Please share your experiences and pictures and videos and audios with us, especially on Facebook, JoyNews on TV, which is our official account there. And also on Twitter, you can tag us as well at JoyNews on TV on Twitter, and talking about immigration and all the things we have to do. We're talking now porous borders.
A nation surrounded by terror hotspots, from Burkina Faso to La Côte d'Ivoire. It's now a nation confronted with the scare of terror attacks. But with porous borders, the threat seems far from over. JoyNews goes to the borders to investigate. Porous borders, this August on JoyNews.
And since we began this, we've had some revelations on our hands. And we now have in the studio Laud Ofori-Afrifa, who is the Deputy Controller General for the Ghana Immigration Service in charge of operations and command post. And he's here. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Good morning.
And you've monitored our campaign so far. What will be your own just initial comments on what we're doing by way of the increased advocacy?
Well, I think it's good. It brings the challenges on our borders to the public so that they understand what the borders mean for the country, and then they can buy it and support our actions to make our country safer. Thank you.
Great. And since we started doing all this, we saw that essentially, as citizens, we didn't even know what was border security in the first place. What would that be?
Let's have this conversation, come down to the level where everybody can understand.
To my level, so that I can understand.
Border security is simply putting in measures that protects a country's borders against threats. Simply put, that it is. So the mechanisms that the state puts in, the agencies put in to ensure that the border is secure against threats coming across it and going across it. That is simply border management. Some of the threats that we talked about illegal crossings. We are talking about terrorism, human smuggling, human trafficking, drug trafficking, arms trafficking, piracy. Piracy because the sea. People don't even know that the coastline is also a border. Yes. So we talk about the coastline, how you secure it. Then also you talk about health. Not only the physical things, that smuggling that you see, but health.
Health?
Yes.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, diseases, etc., that come across, and other things that are brought in. So, for example, there's Ebola now raging in Congo now.
Oh, but that's in Central Africa.
Yes, but we are having students from Congo coming to school, visitors coming in. Any of them could transport it, so we don't take any chances.
So as immigration service, you tend to look out for all these?
We look out for everything. And where it doesn't fall directly within our purview, we collaborate with the agency that is in charge of that. We call the attention to what is happening, and then we find ways to secure the borders against it. So that is in a nutshell what we call border security. But in looking at border security, you should look at it in the wider context of border management. You only look at it as it is, as you see the agencies working there. But you look at it in the wider security of border management. What the strategies and mechanisms that a state or an agency puts in to secure its border. And that is what ensures the border security. So if you don't have a national strategy, a wider strategy to manage the border, because the border is managed by many agencies, not only one agency. We have immigration, we have customs, you have narcotics, you have plant quarantine from the Ministry of Agriculture, you have port health from the Ministry of Health, you have Ghana Standards Authority, you have Foods and Drug Board. Everybody is performing a function targeted at something. So if you don't come together to look at the security of the border, you will fight among yourselves, and then there are loopholes that people will come through. So you put together what we call a border management strategy, which is holistic, brings all the agencies together. And then also in our world, you see that resources are a bit scarce. So you put all these agencies together and you look at issues, resourcing them. Coming together, joint patrols, etc., interagency collaboration. And then you also look at it at the other side of the border. Cross-border collaboration with our partners at the other side under international cooperation. So that is how we want to look at it. You look at it in its wide context. Thank you.
Yeah. Do we have, apart from, because all these seem to be the general things you look out for as you have in your strategy. And yesterday I was doing some literature review, especially in relation to how border patrol agencies in the US and the UK tend to undertake their work. And they seem to have central themes, especially for the short to medium term. For example, in the UK, because of Brexit, they seem to have now re-itemized some of the things they need to do within the overall scheme of their strategy. You go to the US because of Trump and the Trump administration's own objectives. They seem to have also re-strategized in that level, making sure the immigrants, especially from Latin America, are kept out, and they always have the disease Center for Disease Control, which also looks at some of the issues that they have to look at. But do we have that in our context in Ghana, or it's just a general strategy?
No, you develop your border management strategy according to the threats that you identify. And then you put in, or you design the strategy to tackle it. So at every time you have to be reviewing the situation to see what the current trends are. So currently Ghana, in the short term, our border security strategy is driven by the threat of terrorism, especially from the sub-region, and most specifically from our northern border, Burkina Faso. You've been following the news.
Yes, we do.
So you certainly see that Burkina Faso is about 2/3 of the country. Now it's virtually ungovernable, and it sits directly on our. One of the last attacks that happened, it only happened about 10 kilometers from one of our border posts, Kulungungu. So it means that anything at all could happen. They could transport. You look at it in the context of the issues of terrorism. How are they operating in the sub-region? You see that they are expanding. Right from Nigeria, Boko Haram, coming into Niger, Mali, the tip of Mauritania, coming down Burkina Faso. It means that they are extending. And for terrorists, you can never tell when. But certainly, Ghana is now facing a veritable threat of terrorism. So our border strategy now is geared towards tackling that in the short term. And in the long term, general security.
Now, when we went around, and we're still uncovering many other things related to how porous our borders are, because the landmarks usually are open, especially when you go to the northern territories or the northern sections of our country, the landmass is very much plateau, very plain. And so it makes entry, especially in the dry season, very easy. In the midst of us already having identified that terrorism is a great threat in the West African sub-region, then what have been some of the incidences, one, and what have we done to beef up our own forces then?
Yes, certainly when you look at our borders, you usually analyze it and see how it's structured. So you see that from the south, forest areas going up Athens, and in the north, as you rightly said, savanna, open lands. And then you see that we are managing almost over 2,000 kilometers of land borders. The sea has another over 500. Yes.
That's massive.
And we have only 45 land border posts over the distance of over 2,000, almost 2,400 kilometers. So you can imagine. So between the border posts, the length, and then what is between them, the vegetation, the topography. So forest zones, rivers, mountains, some of them are even inaccessible. Means you have to walk in real forest to get to the border. So the nature of the border itself presents a challenge. It is artificial in the first place, carved out by the Europeans under colonialism. So they're artificial. So you look at all these things and see where the highest risk is. Then you deploy your resources accordingly. So, for example, we see the Aflao stretch. That is a bit crowded. You see, Aflao sits on the border. The person bats here, goes to powder here, on the other side of the border. Goes to farm every day, come back. Go to market and come back. So that's right. The border actually sits, the town sits on the border. So anything moves.
So it's kind of sandwiched.
It's sandwiched.
And you don't see clear differences. We have citizens from who could either be Togolese on one hand and Ghanaians on the other.
They are the same people.
Yeah.
But our border...
Same families.
Same family, they are the same people. Yeah. In fact, there's a situation in the northern region. There's a chieftaincy problem in Burkina Faso at the other side of the border. The chieftaincy issue there came when they ran away to seek refuge in Ghana. They came to another side, Tiligwe-Naba area. The chief there is their cousin. So they came to the chief.
Okay, so narrate the situation again. The chieftaincy situation, particularly this one is a scenario
this is not painting.
It's not hypothetical, this is real.
No, it's real.
And the chief who is in dispute was being chased.
Yes.
So came to his cousin.
There was a chieftaincy clash across the Burkina Faso. So in seeking refuge with his people, they come across the border to Tili. The chief there, they are cousins.
In the traditional line of
In the traditional line, and they interact every day. So naturally, they just move with his people and they are settled there now, asylum seekers.
So he's with his cousins
he's with
in
his
the family line or the traditional line.
The family line.
But then he's in Ghana.
I see in Ghana. So walk across 100 meters and he's back home.
Did you process him, for example, for papers?
Of course. No. The borders are such that at times people moving without you see, like you rightly said, the savannah areas. You visited the Boku stretch. You saw the mountains. You saw that in the dry season, you can see meters or kilometers away. So you can be here, the border agents can be here, but they can see somebody crossing on a motorbike. How do you react? How do you chase? So these are the real situations. The border itself is a challenge. You go to somewhere like Niger. Niger has over 5,000 kilometers of land borders. They have only about 20 border posts. Libya sits on them. Look at what is happening in Libya. So the arms coming just across.
The trickling in. Influx of small arms. Or even some of the most sophisticated.
You can never tell. Maybe most of them.
And because it's a thin line, you will not be surprised that some of those arms are in northern Ghana.
It's very possible.
Or even
because arms are being trafficked all through the sub-region. Where is it coming from? Where are they going? And if you look at our northern conflicts, look at the arms that they wield. AK-47, sophisticated arms. Not our local traditional prepared arms like they have in Alabama. So that is the real situation. So the other thing that we look at, resources, that we don't want to lament about because you saw it. I mean,
it's a normal problem.
It's a normal problem.
Look at your post. That Wawa board or Wawa stick you painted. You painted blue.
Yeah, so...
And you said it's a post.
The facilities, yes. I mean, the facilities are not there,
looks like a riot blockade posts in Ashama or someplace like that? Shouldn't be a border post.
I agree with you.
That's sad.
Unfortunately, that's the situation of Africa. And in fact, you may not find this in Africa, you may find this even in Asia. This sort of situation. Border management is not easy, but you adopt a varied approach to managing.
Somebody say you're finding solidarity. You want to mention Asia so that you are telling viewers that you are not alone. So we should take comfort.
Not at all.
We should take comfort in the midst of scared news of terrorism, etc. That could also seep into our country.
No.
Yesterday, when I was doing the review of literature, because I was preparing for you, I wanted to face you squarely, but now it has to be educative, I'm thinking, because there's nothing you and I can do about it, unless just to make sure we drum home and make sure that policymakers do something about it. For example, in the UK and the US, they had a whole map of the posts, and the posts were not more than 18 kilometers apart. Just the length of the motorway. And what's the distance between ours? In the northern?
It's varied. In the northern region, for example, you look between, you take, for example, Upper West and the northern, now Savannah region. Hamile is at the tip. From Hamile right down to Bamboy, a stretch of over 200 kilometers.
200 kilometers?
A stretch of over 200 kilometers. We have only one border post at Bolichachi. Yes. So the whole stretch.
We're trying to see whether we'll get the map and try, of course.
Yes.
We'll get the coordinates right.
Yes, so that whole stretch.
200 kilometers.
From Hamile, you look at the map, from Hamile.
200 kilometers is like
down.
From here to Takrady. Or even.
Or could be more.
Or even more, yeah.
Yes. We have only one border post, Bolichachi. And look at the Ivorians sit on the other side of the border, of the Savannah region. Look at what happened in the arms movement in that area. I mean, it's also a threat.
Okay, tell me.
Yes.
How many of personnel do you have as Ghana Immigration Service?
Currently, we are doing about 5,500.
Are you serious?
Very serious.
Okay. What is the usual internationally UN approved rate? Let's not talk about US and let's say the UN approved ratio.
We are not aware of that kind of, just unlike the police.
Yeah.
We don't have that.
Okay.
Yes.
No
police,
standard.
we don't have that.
Ghana Immigration Service, do you have your perceived, ideally, what you would have thought that for a population of nearly 30 million, and looking at how we're dotted or clustered per the population, you would have had that maybe per population you needed certain servicemen?
In fact, as far back as 2008, we were investigating about 8,000 personnel.
Okay.
And a special majority in the border patrol unit. Because that is when the border management issues became very, very, very trouble to the country. But you know, I mean, it's employment matters, you know, government has to commit resources to this. So you cannot have the full complement. But we try. So some of the things that we are trying to do, like I said, you assess the borders, look at the high-risk areas, and deploy the resources there to achieve the maximum effect, and then put in other measures. Like you said, some of the things that you will not find the structures there. Ideally, you want to have a built-up border post at all these 45 places. And then some of them also you find that the built-up areas are inland. So you went to Tumu, for example. The border post in Tumu belongs to the customs. It is 18 kilometers in country.
So ideally, if citizens of the other neighboring country, that would be Burkina Faso, right?
Yes.
If they wanted, before you check them, they would have been 18 kilometers into your country.
Into the country, yes. But we should be at the border. So what we do is that from the base in Tumu, they move out to conduct patrols and checks
On what? Or do they use motorbikes or what?
Vehicles and motorbikes.
Are you sure you have them in supply? I've spoken to some of your personnel.
I said vehicles and motorbikes.
I've spoken to some of your personnel.
That in Tumu, you won't find
No, I'm not talking particularly about Tumu.
Yes.
I'm talking about many of the areas, and I've spoken to a number of officers scattered across the...
It is a huge challenge.
It's a huge challenge.
It is yes. Transport is a huge challenge because immigration control its movement, both in country.
So
and
we have
borders.
45. We're supposed to have ideally 45 border posts.
We have 45 land borders,
but not built up. Not all of
not
them.
all of them are built up. No, some of them, like you saw this one,
in the northern belt.
No, across the country, over the 2,000 kilometers, only 45.
Okay, so the northern belt. How many posts do we have? If you have
the numbers. Yes.
If you have the numbers, I'll give you all the time for you to take
Oh, yes.
Okay.
So, Western North, we have, we look at the Northeast, the current Northeast region, we have two, Wanjuga and Bumprugu. Northern region, now, we have two, Tatale and Saboba.
Okay, hold on, you take us through. Now, see what we're showing. You see that this is the Savannah region.
Yes.
And mainly you find that they're, let's go up, not down, let's go up. Let's zoom out, not zoom in, let's zoom out. Let's zoom out, okay. So if you see that we have a lot of planes. How is somebody is hiding somewhere or a cluster of people? How do you check it? And you are in, you are in the town.
Yes, like I said, border management strategies have now changed. We have to adapt new things.
Are you adapting?
We are adapting. Now, like you said, the challenge...
slowly, because of resources.
Yes, the challenge that you are seeing now, communities sitting on the borders, so in plain sight. People can hide in plain sight. So now, the strategy that we are adopting now is introducing the community engagement. Now we have to engage the community. The community has to be part of us, and we have to be part of it.
Why?
Because it is them who they will tell us what is wrong.
And who is in and
who should not be in. And for them to appreciate why border security is.
But making an inference from what you're saying, you're telling me, and in reality,
yes.
For example, I've been, over the last 2 years, I've been to Togo, Lomé, and other communities or towns just close to Lomé. And I have seen relatives who have families in Togo, they have also families in Aplaou and in many other areas in Ghana.
Yes.
And they go to have ceremonies and events, funerals. You see that somebody lived in Ghana, but he's going to be buried in Togo. Somebody lived in Togo is going to be buried in Ghana. And you are also telling me that we have relatives on the side. Now, who will tell on his relative? Who would be a whistleblower on his relative, ideally? And if that relative is a known terrorist or could be a suspected terrorist, who would tell on his relative?
Well, it happens. It's a community. It's human nature. So when you engage the community, you see, despite all these threats that we face, you find that people are interested in their country's security, in their heart. Yes, they will engage in smuggling, etc. But they would not want a terrorist to come and cause harm in their country.
Okay. Now, for areas bordering northern Ghana, can you tell us the posts or the number of border posts you have?
Northern Ghana...
is it northern Ghana?
Upper East.
Upper East.
Upper East has 7.
Region.
Upper East region has 7.
7, only 7 border posts?
Yes, 7.
The whole of...
the stretch, yes. From Paga to Pulimakum. So, but you see, you can't have border posts dotted closely.
But nobody is saying we should have it closely.
No, I'm just saying that. So, like I said, Niger, over 5,000. They have just about 20.
Our comparison is Niger.
No, I'm just saying. Now, I mean, that is general border management. Border management is the same everywhere. Just that countries, and even in country, border posts have their peculiarities. But basically, it's virtually the same concept. So it has 7. And when you come to the Upper West, it has 2. Upper West has 2. Tumu and Hamile and other And then, like you said, many unapproved routes. So you have to adopt a combination of manning the border post and deploying static and mobile patrols to look at the distances in between. And critically, intelligence. Now it must be intelligence driven. You may put all the resources there, hundreds of men, hundreds of vehicles, etc., but information. So, in addition to the community engagement, we deploy intelligence. And now also we are improving interagency collaboration. Very, very, very important. So, my men are mostly engaged in the border patrols. They would encounter smugglers, etc. Goods is not really our focus. The human being. Goods is for customs. But once we encounter them in our patrols, we will intercept and then call in.
So that's where the interagency
collaboration.
And then when you say intelligence gathering, you also will share information, or
yes.
some of
them will tell us. Or
like the police, the BNI and all that.
All of them have an interest in what is happening at their border. So they will tell us, here, we'll get information. This time we've noticed fuel smuggling, maybe at this particular side of the border. Border agencies, they take a look. So you will see that recently, our officers in Akano area, they intercepted over 200 jerrycans of fuel being smuggled into the country from Togo. It is because some intelligence agency noted what was happening and called our attention to it, and we deployed men, and that was one of it.
Upper West, you have only 2 border patrols? Or
2 border posts.
Why?
Yeah. That's what we have for now. And we are looking at
because
2
if
others.
You look at Upper East, you have 7.
Yes, Upper East. You know that the Boko stretch is more populated. Yes, it's more populated than the Upper East. And they are closer even to the border than in the Upper East. Like we said, in the Upper West, you have only 2 more, which is even 18 kilometers inland. You have some dotted villages. So you look at the threat level, and then you respond, you put in the resources. But now that we are seeing this, and some of the things that we are doing, that we have to open more border posts. So we are looking at about 2 more in that area. Then we are deploying more mobile patrols in that area. Because also, there is the situation where now we have, you are certainly aware, the situation of the Burkinabes now also trooping in. Some of them fleeing terrorist attacks and then coming to join their compatriots seeking asylum in the upper west region. So then you weigh all these things and see where the risks are coming from, where the risks are increasing, then you deploy more resources accordingly.
But you're telling us that we all do acknowledge of the influx of small arms, even some of the most sophisticated weapons, and it's all because of the trickle effects of the conflicts we've seen in Northern Africa that are coming in, the Sahel region and all that. It will presuppose that your men should be carrying arms, because those coming in and infiltrating our borderless borders are carrying arms.
That is true.
And you even say they are not the Alabanyo type of arms, the blacksmith type of arms.
That is very, 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 very true. That is one of the greater challenges that we have.
Why don't you carry arms? Because if you're going to, if you're walking in some dense savannah area and a smuggler or somebody who could be a would-be terrorist or is running from the law and carrying a pistol could threaten your personnel. Indeed, I've had some interaction since over the last 12 hours, and your personnel have told me personally that they've been threatened with a gun, and they only had, what do you have? Those bats you have?
Truncheons.
Truncheons. Okay.
They are right.
They told me that at least I have 5.
They are right. They are right. There's no need to deny it. Look.
So they just let them go. That's what they said.
Yes.
Because if you see a gun being pointed at you, and some of them threaten, I could kill you right now, and I would leave. Nobody would do anything to me, because where you are is secluded and you're alone. Maybe you're just on a motorbike if you're lucky.
Yeah, so of course, at that time, you have to make an intelligent decision. You have to make an intelligent. Yes, you don't unnecessarily have to risk your life. Recently, there was an interception of about 2,000 bags of fertilizer being smuggled.
That would be the planting for food and jobs fertilizers.
Yes, planting for food across the
fertilizers that we use our money, taxpayers' money, to pay for.
6 officers did the interception at around 3 a.m. Only 2 had pistols. Now, it's a community, so when the incident happened, people started coming in. So the people engaged in the actual strike, there were about 14. 6 officers. They had to find a way to engage them while they sent a message for relief. So that is where that interagency collaboration comes in. So they sent a message to the military detachment in the vicinity, who then went in to support. Then they arrested. Yes.
But if you tell me engagement, it means that those you were catching or you had intercepted, those who will be coming from the other side of the border.
No, they were from within.
Okay, but they were having arms?
No, they were not armed.
Okay. So what sort of engagement? Dialogue?
Dialogue, yes. So they had to engage them. I mean, you have to be smart. These are kind of the trainings that we give our people. We give them intelligence training. So whilst they were waiting, they had to engage them to buy time. And the guys came in.
Mr. Ofori-Afrifa, can I say that for the absence or the lack of the inability of the government of Ghana to equip your personnel of the Ghana Immigration Service to have the needed weaponry and sophisticated equipment, we use intelligence to let would-be terrorists go free? No,
they cannot.
Because at the risk of a personal life, somebody will say that, Charlie,
yes, that is true. I mean, our people know that they are challenged, but they are committed. They are committed to the national
Not at the expense of losing your life, though.
Look, they commit themselves. They really commit themselves. And some of them have suffered attacks. Some of them have suffered injuries. But that is what we have committed ourselves to do, the job we have committed ourselves to do. So like we said, yes, we are not armed, but currently there's an operation running in the north to secure the northern border. When you went,
you are using patriotism to do that.
Patriotism. And then
but we need you to be equipped with arms. We need you to be equipped with the needed facilities to fight the threat that is coming from the borders.
Exactly. That is true. So like we're saying, government is aware of our needs. And from where I sit, I know what has gone in. We will be armed quite pretty soon. You know, the acquisition process...
You're sounding like the politician who said plans are far advanced.
No. When I say I am a professional, I'm a professional. And where I sit, that is my job.
So my Deputy Controller General, Operations and Command Post, Ghana Immigration Service, you are promising
that is my job.
Plans are far advanced to make sure the necessary equipment, at least for the northern end, at least for the northern, they are equipped. You are
for
promising
the service in general.
Okay. So which time would that be? So you tell us. We'll put it on our Twitter handle.
Twitter?
Yes.
I will give you a time frame, but it's very in the short term.
Now you're dodging.
I'm not dodging. Roland. Thank you.
Okay. But once you're using intelligence, it would also mean that citizens need to be aware to also complement your efforts. Exactly. What should we be aware?
Yes. Now you see the border communities. The border communities. They have lived on smuggling for years, decades. So we have to strike the balance. They have to understand that, yes, they survive on smuggling, etc. But these days, you smuggle people, you smuggle items. You don't know who you are smuggling. You don't know what item you are smuggling. You could be smuggling nuclear material for somebody you think is just wants to dodge the border. The person may be coming in with arms. So they have to be aware that these are the real threats, and especially in today's world, where we have a veritable threat of terrorism. They have to understand that, look, it is not that we hate them, it is not that we don't want them to eat, but we have to secure the country's border. Because when the country descends into chaos, when there's no internal security, because it is that external threat that will come to compound the internal security. You can't even do the smuggling. Your family that you smuggle to take care of, they cannot even stay there for you to continue it. If there's a terrorist attack, it could be their wife, who could be the victim, their child, could be their chief. So they must understand that the role of the border agencies is to ensure the protection of the whole country, and they must support it. Of course, in border management, you have to strike the balance between stiffness and a bit of flexibility. You must understand the community in which you work, where the community comes in. In certain jurisdictions, it is said, or in certain theories, it is said that border agencies, at times, you may have to turn a blind eye to something that is happening to get the cooperation of that guy. Because it is that smuggler who you befriend in town, who you engage in town, who will give you the intelligence of that person who is not in the community, who is the real threat.
No wonder you have your motto, friendship with vigilance.
Friendship with vigilance, yes. So they should understand and cooperate. In the border communities especially, like you said, Aflao, relatives across, the border agents, they can tell who is a border resident and who is not.
Oh, they've been trained to do.
Natural profiling, it develops over time. And at times, instinct also develops. They can't, hey, come, let's see what is in your bag. One of the times we were on a visit there, and just passing through watching them. On the other side, we were visiting with our Togolese counterparts. One of the Togolese agencies just said, a lady carrying a suitcase. They called her, come, let's see inside. They opened. There were 2 other suitcases inside. And in the third one, bullets. It develops. I mean, when you live within a community, etc., some of these instincts, what the training that you get in the classroom will not serve you. But when you get to the ground, you develop some ground wisdom and profiling instincts to add to what we have trained you to do.
There was an incident in which there was a Burkina Bay who had a pistol or a gun and was in a church.
Yes.
How did you, how were you able to arrest that person?
You see, the community had been sensitized. I mean, after the very close attack, the one that happened just about 10 kilometers from, I mean, the country went into full gear. I mean, you raise alertness in response to how critical the situation is. So all the communities there were very, very well educated. The National Counter-Terrorism Team went in, which includes immigration officers. They went in, massive intensive education of the border communities, etc. So they engaged the churches, etc. So now, you see the trend in northern, in Burkina Faso. They used to be attacking border posts, police posts, etc. Now it has shifted. Now they are attacking churches. So the churches was one of our focus.
But why would they attack a church in Ghana?
They want to make, they are sending you a message. What will hurt you most? What will make international headlines? That is what the terrorists want to do. Want to get the maximum attention. So with that sensitization that had been carried out, the people were aware. And even as they were in church, people were looking around. And like I told you, when you engage the community, they will see who is not part of them. And they could see maybe a bulge there, and they know that this is what we have been told. Come on, let's go in. They called our people, and sure, the person had a pistol. Certainly in that northern stretch, arms trafficking over our borders, it's a rife thing. Our people have intercepted arms in the course of
And you're saying it's not peculiar to Ghana?
No, but it's a serious thing. Though it's not peculiar, It's a serious thing.
Yes.
I mean, it funds...
You're on the alert. But
yes.
You're saying that those sort of incidences or suspicions are not peculiar to Ghana because of the situations we've had in Northern Africa, the influx of the arms
exactly.
through the Savannah Belt, the Sahara.
Are so fluid. I mean, you can, like we said, even though we say that ECOWAS, travel with travel documents, people move. Our Ghanaians move up north.
Can I conclude that we are not safe? Ghana Immigration Service is not doing its work well then?
I'm not sure. You are safe. Because aside when you sleep, like we said, our intelligence works. So we know where the routes are. We know where the people pass. Like we said, we deploy accordingly. And the interagency cooperation that is going on now.
In your notes, I've seen you've written a lot of numbers. I haven't asked some of those questions. What do you want to tell me that I haven't asked?
Well, you've virtually asked what I think that you should be talking about is also what are some of the strategic moves that government has engaged in to strengthen border patrol? Strategic initiatives. Yes.
The government has done something.
Yes. Now we have what we call the Security Governance Initiative. That initiative in collaboration is supported by the American government.
So you work with
focusing.
You work with the Department of Homeland Security?
We work with them because they are also interested. People, I mean, they're interested in terrorism, etc. I mean, the whole world, not only the Americans, we're talking to everybody because somebody may pass through Ghana, I have the record, Ghana Immigration Service will have the record. We will use that to support you. We will give you information, like we said. The UN, the terrorism list, etc., that is put out there. We have to feed it into our system. We have to monitor.
Okay. So like I said, I had interaction with at least 5 of your personnel.
Yes.
2 were along the Volta area, and then at least for the Northern Belt, I had about 3. And there was a seeming sense of lack of motivation. What do you do to motivate your staff? I mean, beyond the issues we're talking about. They complained about the lack of transport, the bikes that were needed, especially in northern areas. You know,
I mean, that is a general situation across, but what we do is that we visit. We speak to them, we motivate them. I commanded the Upper West region, including the Savannah region. Over 500 kilometers were under me, everybody there. What I used to do is to make sure you visit them, talk to them, and they know that you understand them. And then the little that you can, you commit. So, for example, when we get maybe 5 vehicles, etc., we look at the critical areas and then we send them there. We look at those who are really deprived in those deprived areas, then we send the resources.
When was the last time you had a location of vehicles or motorbikes? 10 years ago?
No, I think early this year we bought about 10 to 15, and then we send them to some of the critical areas like Saboba, Wanjuga. These are areas. And then you know the threats that happen there, the Tripoli, those, yes, so they have to move. So we send them
but Tripoli is a bit inland, so why are you...
So Tripoli mans the Wanjuga border. So they move from there to Wanjuga.
Very well.
So they have to move.
Very well.
Yes, send them back.
Some of them complain, and I saw that your Director General confirmed that in his interaction when he went to visit, and Martina Bugre put together that report.
That's why we are saying that we are not denying it.
Yes.
We understand. Yes.
And he indeed acknowledged that he noticed that some of the personnel were at post 8-9 years at one border post, but ideally they should have been shuffled.
It happens.
Yeah, yesterday when I had the interaction, they told me it helps in motivating them.
Yes,
so
it happens.
If somebody is coming from, or is at one end, you shift them, let's say airport, Kakra,
we do that. We do that. Unfortunately, we do that. Unfortunately, some of them have suffered this, and we look to moving them. Usually 4 or 5 years you should move.
Yeah. So
yes.
Are you going to reject?
We will. We will. In fact, the Controller General just came from his tour of the northern regions, and these are some of the issues that he came out strongly on. Yes.
Well, one word of motivation or encouragement you would want to give your personnel who may be watching.
Yes, my people, like I always say, yes, we are challenged.
Look into that camera.
But we have a job to do. Do what you have to do, and you have our support. whatever resources that come our way, you can be sure that we will bring them to you, and we will continue to monitor you and support you. Work hard. Continue to protect the nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed the conversation. Right on the dot, we have to end it. We'll keep the engagement ongoing because this advocacy is for the whole of August. Porous Borders is the hashtag. Make sure that you tag us with pictures, but also audios and videos of your own experiences crossing the borders or what you've seen on our social media pages. JoyNews on TV is our official account on Facebook. We also have a Twitter handle at JoyNews on TV. And keep watching us live through YouTube, my Online TV as well. If you don't have access to regular mainstream television and the decoders to watch us. But I've had in the studio a Deputy Controller General for Operations and Command Post, the Ghana Immigration Service, Laud Ofori-Afrifa. I've enjoyed the conversation. It's been educative as well. And many other things we've opened our minds to this morning. But again, it's what we're on, Porous Borders.